Fuck! I got fucked up. I could jump? Hell yeah. Let's do this shit. Fuck yeah, dude. Oh, hey guys. I didn't see you there watching. How's it going? Tonight is the 22nd episode of MAME Politics. Gonna head over to the chat, say hello. Hey, Isabel. Hey, you have a good point. Yeah, this is a really interesting night, isn't it? It's a shocker that the Democrats are openly trying to sabotage the caucus, which is kind of amusing because a caucus is actually not an official part of the primary. This will dictate everything moving forward, of course, and it'll choose real delegates, but this is not an actual vote, as far as I understand. You have a good point, says, they say the reporting app was faulty. Well, did you know who was behind this reporting app? Dan Cohen on Twitter shed some light on that. It was developed by a company owned by Robbie Mook, guy I share a name with. It's actually fun sharing a first name with so many awful people like Robert Kagan, Robbie Mook. If you didn't know who Robbie Mook was... Oh, you can't hear me? Check. Why can't you hear me? Is my volume just too low? Can anybody else in here hear me? Okay. JC, what's happening with the caucus is they were supposed to already have the results in like a couple hours ago. And according to the 2016 Iowa caucus, they already had all the tally and everything in like by something like 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So what's really interesting now is that MSNBC, the panel on MSNBC, was basically trying to set everybody up to not expect results from the Iowa caucus until we already get to New Hampshire's primary. Who's they say it wasn't Robbie Mook? Who said that? I mean, maybe Dan Cohen got his information wrong, but there's an article I just posted on Twitter that you can look at right now. Status Quo says the app was not by Robbie Mook. Well, it could be just people are getting their wires crossed, because let me read to you this article. Unless this is not the same app I'm thinking of. It could be something completely unrelated. So Robbie Mook has an app called Defending Digital Democracy. And it might be something completely separate from this app that is being used right now. So I actually might have got my facts wrong there. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, who knows? So I'm not going to talk about the app or who made it much more, just because I don't know the facts behind it. But isn't it convenient that all this stuff happened, and the level of complacency from the people on the mainstream media is pretty fucking funny. Mook didn't make the app. Yeah, okay, so he's behind a different app. Yeah, okay, got it. Yeah, I wonder who made this app. I mean, first of all, that should be examined. Um, it should also be examined if CrowdStrike had anything to do with this app or is involved in any way in the DNC right now, because that would be worth looking into. Uh, but yeah, I mean, you guys have already probably seen the video footage of them doing coin flips for apparent ties, even though like Pete Buttigieg and Bernie in one of the districts, um, Bernie had far more people, but for some reason they ended up doing a coin flip against Buttigieg because they claim they tied. There's been several of these coin flip moments tonight, and it's really bizarre actually when you think about how much Americans and the regime change people here focus on the what's the right word to use? Focus on the integrity of other countries' elections so much. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. How ridiculous it is. There's fucking videos of people doing coin flips to do tiebreakers right now, and we're not doing. And that people in the media would, if they saw that in another country like in South America or Venezuela, that would be replaying on CNN like all day long. It's pretty sad. Hey Oz, how's it going? I just sent you an email, by the way. Check your email. Don't worry, it's not anything like too serious. Just something, just some annoying shipping stuff. But thank you, by the way. No Name says same people suppressing the narrative that Bernie is winning. Yeah, absolutely. Just watch the MSNBC panel if you want right now. Lawrence O'Donnell, who actually people say Rachel Maddow is like the worst on MSNBC. I beg to differ. I think Lawrence O'Donnell perhaps might actually be the worst one on MSNBC. He's not as prolific as Rachel Maddow. He didn't maybe get as many headlines for his Russia hysteria. But Lawrence O'Donnell was pushing Cold War 2.0 a long time before Rachel Maddow was. He's the one who brought the neocons onto MSNBC to push Russiagate first. And this was all shown in my film, A Very Heavy Agenda. He brought on Jamie Kirchick a lot. He brought on Miriam Elder, two new neocons. And he actually brought them both on at the same time to smear my sister as an anti-Semite in 2014. And he's there on the panel saying that there's no chance that Bernie's could win this because his votes are all split now, because there's more candidates in the race that his voters are excited about. And it's just so funny because it's like they would never speculate that in the other direction. None of these MSNBC people would be saying those kind of things about Bernie. Van Jones was a CNN guy who was actually saying, going against the mainstream narrative about Bernie and saying like, don't underestimate Bernie. He might like really have this tonight. He was the only like mainstream media person I saw talking about it. Yeah. Rush Limbaugh can rot and piss. Fuck that neocon motherfucker. He is a disgusting monster. And I do not think you can underestimate how crucial and important of a role he played in pushing Iraq war propaganda. Somebody on Twitter got into it with me today, and they did something that really annoyed me, where they said, well, what about Hillary? She's worse than Rush Limbaugh. And it's like, okay, are you really gonna have a both sides argument with me because I'm celebrating Rush Limbaugh's death? And yeah, Hillary Clinton was in government, so I mean, it's comparing apples and oranges. It's just a stupid point. So, it just annoyed me. I don't even know why I'm going off on that. But I mean, I don't know how many of you guys actually were old enough to remember what the post 9/11 era was like. The mainstream media climate was awful. Most mainstream media networks were passively or actively shilling for the wars. And on the other side, you had the AM talk radio world, which this is the early 2000s. So you have to imagine that if it's hard for you to wrap your head around this now, try to reverse the clock back 20 years and imagine how much bigger AM talk radio was than, say, like conservatives getting their news online. I mean, Drudge Report was popular, but there was almost no conservative news internet at that time. It was all on AM radio talk. And it was largely dominated by Rush Limbaugh and Michael Savage. They were the two main guys who were really, really dominating the talk scene during the Bush era. Sean Hannity, of course, had his own program. Mark Levine had his own program. But they were a little bit more establishment. Sean Hannity would just do an edgier version of his Fox News show. But it cannot be underestimated how much damage Rush Limbaugh did to the dialogue in this country, especially in regards to the Iraq War and after 9/11. I mean, I feel like he single-handedly did more to brainwash people than any single reporter you can pick out of CNN or Fox News. And I strongly believe that. I lived through that era. I was starting to become, politically awoken during that era. And it's strange to me that people would ever try to downplay that with me. Like, you either don't remember what it was like, or you want to just try to both sides everything now so badly that you can't even let me have my fun and celebrate Rush Limbaugh's death and talk about how he was one of the most dangerous Iraq War cheerleaders. I mean, there's definitely mainstream media pundits who are not right-wing who did some awful things in regards to the Iraq War. But it can't be denied that landscape of mainstream media Iraq War cheerleaders was largely dominated by hardcore right-wing ideologues and neoconservatives. Not just neoconservatives, but also like the classic, social conservatives like Ann Coulter, Rush Limbaugh. I mean, all these people were some of the biggest Iraq War cheerleaders in the country. And I just don't think we should forget that. I mean, maybe it's easy to forget that now because the Democrats have become so hawkish and openly so and have become such Russiagators. But we also have to remember Clear Channel. Someone brought this up to me and reminded me of this, that Clear Channel actually organized pro-war Iraq War protests. Clear Channel was basically like a monopolistic radio buyout to push conservative war propaganda during the Bush era. The Bush family also had linkages to the Clear Channel company. And think about how many people, how many police, judges, conservative people out all across the country who are influenced by Rush Limbaugh into sticking to their, conservative values about the drug war and things like that. And this hypocrite Rush Limbaugh is, living as an OxyContin addict for God knows how many years. And, he's pushing all this drug war propaganda. He's also anti-sex work, even though he is, from what all the evidence you can gather, it's very clear that he is a prostitution addict and that he regularly travels to Costa Rica because the prostitution there is so cheap. He actually got caught trying to smuggle in illegal Viagra to just have like a prostitute fest while traveling out there. So he's been caught twice with illegal drugs. Once was the tip of the iceberg of his prostitution addiction. So it revealed a lot more about him. So he's just one of the biggest hypocrites ever. JC, not only did Rush do Oxy, he did so much Oxy, he actually damaged his eardrum permanently. He had to get surgery. And I don't want to like beat up on drug addicts here, but I mean, if you're going to have a radio show where you're encouraging locking up people for minor drug offenses, it's disgusting to me. Tob Collector, you have an old VHS of Rush. Tob says, that is very rare. and it's not up on YouTube. I'm digitizing it. It's so insanely racist, you almost can't believe it's even for him. Can't believe it even for him. Please, obviously, digitize that. Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, he said terrible things throughout his whole life, just like Ann Coulter. Very, very, very racist things. And obviously, that strongly bothers me. But what bothers me more is that now Rush Limbaugh and people like Ann Coulter and even Sean Hannity can act like they're fighting against the deep state. The same three people who push WMD's propaganda even into like past 2007. I mean, they're all three of them are still pushing the propaganda that there were all these weapons found in Iraq. It's disgusting. I don't know if you guys could even tell today. I've reversed horizontally flipped my webcam because, and it's not the most ideal way to do it, but until I rearrange my whole setup here, I wanted to actually be facing, to make it look like to you guys I'm facing the screen, because I realized all the previous episodes of this show, it kind of my OCD finally crept in and got to me, and I was like, damn, I'm literally facing away from the video game, like in terms of the arrangement on the screen that you guys are watching. I am tiny. I like being tiny though. It makes me feel less vulnerable. No Name says the fix is in 100%. Absolutely. It absolutely is. And the fact that they'd be trying to fix the Iowa caucus, if that is indeed what's happening, screams of desperation. I mean, like I was saying, it's not actually a primary. So that they're trying to do it this soon is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. But again, I mean, what did we expect? Like, really, try to ground yourself for a second. You know, just think reasonably. This is not conspiratorial to say this at all. It's just being realistic. After the 2016 election, clearly the ruling class, the DNC, all the elites wanted to figure out what they could do to prevent someone like Donald Trump ever being elected again. I mean, that's been made clear in so many ways. And I'm sure all you guys could agree with that. So if 2016 left us with that, where there's a clear indication that the elites in this country do not want us to have any semblance of democracy anymore and want to make sure it is absolutely controlled. If you thought that that was going to happen and then we were going to have like a fairer or even as fair election as 2016, I think you would be naive. They have pulled out all the stops. There's no way they want Trump to happen again, unless we go into the mindset or framework that the deep state or parts of the elites and ruling class deliberately, wanted Trump in there, which is also a real thing, probably on some level. But the ruling class is factionalized now, to some degree, more openly so. Not that they were never factionalized before. It's important to get to the streets before this gets fucked up entirely. Well, No Name, I don't mean to come off as too cynical here, but I was in my early 20s. I was just sort of, wanting to become an active participant in politics when the Supreme Court decided that George W. Bush would be president. That was sort of my introduction to trying to involve myself in politics. So as you can imagine, for me, this already felt completely fucked. I mean, and then 9/11 happens after the Supreme Court decides our election, and then 9/11 happens. I mean, the levels of darkness and sort of lack of any semblance of democracy there is kind of astounding. Like how quickly that was made clear to us in that year or year and a half or whatever. It definitely did a number on me. I mean, it's no name. I mean, I agree. I have mixed feelings though. How do you push the momentum forward on the left? I mean, what are we trying to accomplish here? What do we think we're going to do? Other than reveal the fact that this country we live in is actually not a real democracy, and that sort of poking them so that they will jump out and then just try to sabotage everything and reveal themselves. I mean, that's like almost, in my opinion, some of the best we could hope for at this point is that we will just do more to accelerate the ruling class and the elites and the people who really have a stranglehold over this country into revealing their hand. And it's almost, you could almost argue that's accelerationist, because if you just sit back and do nothing, then that we won't cause them to do that. So I'm not saying don't be an activist, don't, try to push these values, but America's a really dark country. I mean, I don't know. I'm just going into my thoughts are going into really dark places right now. So, Emu sings, how do you descend into darkness, and how do you not descend into darkness and crumble from the cynicism? I don't know. I mean, I feel like I can't flip a switch and change the reality that I live in. So on some level, I have to just be in it and try to be as comfortable as possible in it. I mean, you have to live your life and be happy. I mean, you have to. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. It's just, it bugs me, but it's also kind of funny to see like Don Jr. talking about how they're obviously rigging this stuff. It's like the Trump kids, as dumb and as just bumbling fools as they are, they even know to jump on these sort of more. And when I use the word paranoid, I don't even mean it negatively. They jump on these narratives that are sort of intuitive for a lot of people like us. Like this does seem rigged. This does seem fixed, right? The fact that like Trump will probably tweet tomorrow something about it before any of the mainstream media networks are willing to actually go in that direction and say it is, again, a problem. I mean, it's kind of like siphoning that real feeling, intuitive feeling away, and then sort of weaponizing it for the other side. And that's what really bugs me. But I don't know how you could stop that. I mean, I feel like that's part of what I talk about on this podcast a lot, is I feel like that's what the right has done with anti-war, even though they're not really anti-war. I mean, unless you maybe talk to someone like the really libertarian or paleo-conservative people. But even them, a lot of them don't express any sort of morality anymore. I said I was going to play Crystal Castles, but you know what? I don't want to like make myself more upset, because I already went into this podcast definitely in not a very good mood. Just full transparency. So I'm not going to make another game aggravate me. So I'm gonna put on something pretty easy breezy game. So I can just like talk to you guys casually while I'm playing and not really have to pay much attention. I'm gonna put I think I wanted to show you this like on episode 10, but I couldn't find it. It's a really cool game just to look at visually. So I'm just gonna maybe put it on and not play it much because it just looks really cool. I-Robot. Oh, you guys are already cheering me up. So, thanks. Thanks for being here at all. So this is I-Robot. From what I understand, it's one of the first ever, maybe the first shaded polygon style game that used 3D graphics that wasn't just wireframe. Tom, I'm sure you've seen this game before. There were a lot of other wireframe 3D games back in the day, like Star Wars Arcade. I'm trying to think of some other 3D ones. I can't really, none of them are coming to mind right now. But there actually were some other 3D shaded polygon games made too by Atari in the late 80s, early 90s. I think it was called Hard Drivin'. And then they also made another one called Stun Runner, which is pretty amazing looking. Oh, and Isabel, wireframe is like, imagine like a three-dimensional piece of art, like a CGI object or, CGI character, but instead of having a surface on it, it's like literally just like the shell of what makes up all the curves in the image. I could probably throw on Star Wars Arcade just to explain. Tom Collector, yeah. Vector monitors, he says, look very different than CRT monitors. They're really beautiful in real life. Yeah, they have a very strong brightness where, because it's not a pixel, you get this sort of warm afterglow on every little point in the on the screen where it lights up. And the Vectrex system, home console system, is, to my knowledge, the only vector graphics screen that they ever put out as like a console system. So a lot of these old video games ran on vector monitors. So it's too bad there's not really like a good emulation system, Tom. This might be something we could talk about this off air, but I was thinking if someone hasn't made one yet, it might be interesting to think of releasing like a Pandora's box style thing that has a vector monitor that only plays vector style games. I mean, I don't know what coding would be required to do something that crazy, but it probably can be done with a lot of games that maybe use a similar engine. I don't know, but there's got to be a way to get a real vector monitor running on these old emulations of vectorized games somehow. Maybe there isn't. I don't know. You could tell me. But let's talk about that. Yeah, so Pete Buttigieg, Peppo says, declared victory, and then Biden declared victory. And was it like in a letter that Biden did it? Yes, I have, Tom. His music is incredible. Absolutely. Asteroids was just an oscilloscope. I mean, isn't that what a vector monitor essentially is? That's why I'm talking about it might be more complicated than I'm thinking to actually convert an emulated vector game into vector monitor coordinates for the graphics. Yeah, I'm not even watching TV right now. Should I actually have CNN open or something? I mean, do you guys care? Persona management. I'll throw Crystal Castles back on. Status Quo is live. Says you have a good point. Um, maybe it's just me and my weird sickness, but I still like ingesting mainstream media for these kind of events because I like to get the extra layer too of figuring out what establishment propaganda is being mixed with the news that I'm getting. So I like to like absorb it on two different levels. Um, Especially after any major tragedy like a terror incident or something like that. I mean, you could watch, I think Status Quo does good work, but um, you know, sometimes you need that other layer. So actually, I'm kind of sad I didn't check out Fox News tonight because they don't have, what would be their narrative here? I wonder right now. Were they covering this in real time, or are they covering this in real time in the same way that MSNBC and CNN has like the desk, like they do during the elections, where it's like all the main, heads that are like all the royalty on these networks all sitting at the same desk, where they only get together for these special events. Yeah, the magic map. It's all fucking so weird. Do they still have that augmented reality stage on CNN where the guy stands in front of like all the weird virtual props? That shit's really crazy that they do that. You know what also is really crazy? Did anybody actually watch any of the Super Bowl yesterday? Um, I watched a little bit of it, and there was a couple of parts that I noticed, like out of like maybe the half an hour that I watched of it, where you know how they use all this like sophisticated real time graphic insert stuff now in football, but they don't use it in other sports, like the billboards around the stadium, the line on the field is like a real time sort of computer graphic insert. Well, they did something else, which I was like, wait, how did they do that? Oh, and they also have these crazy like cameras that look like they almost look like drone shots, but they're coming on from these like wires that are like really like looks like they're right above the players' heads or something. I don't really understand it. But the amount of like technology that was in the 30 minutes that I saw was like, wait, I don't this is really sophisticated. And then right before they cut to commercial, they showed a replay of a play that I had just watched live on TV that all of a sudden did like the bullet time turning effect of the whole field with all the players on it freeze framed in like perfect HD resolution. And I was like, wait a second, how are they doing this? Do they have like 1,000 cameras all surrounding the football field that they've taken like a 3D laser scan and they've instantly rendered you like a realistic looking map? I was just like, wait, what in the hell is going on? I know that seems odd that's like, I don't really get blown away normally by like new technology or graphic effects. So this was actually one of the weirdest things I've ever seen where I was like, I do not understand how they possibly could have rendered that so fast. Like, how in the fuck did they do that? Um, it was just like, what? So it made me feel simultaneously like amazed that they're able to pull something like that off now, but also just really old and out of it, where I'm like blown away by something that's probably been on football for like the past 10 years that I've just never seen. Um, Tom Collector says he was approached by CNN people at a convention that I did about VR tech. He says he was working on VR tech, and he told the guy from CNN to fuck off. And now he follows him on Twitter. Cool. So how long do you think they're actually going to drag this out for? I mean, when do you think we'll actually get the... Cushbomb from Chapo says failed state. Just a tweet that says failed state. I have to admit, sometimes the Chapo guys make me laugh. Wow. Obnobs. Tom Wright on Twitter. CNN now reporting second alignment was done wrong in some precincts. If true, sounds like there may never be complete results from Iowa. Wow. Wow. I mean, how are they going to get away with this, everybody? How is the DNC going to get away with this? Get away with making it so we'll never get the results from the Iowa caucus, the thing that dictates the way the rest of the primaries will go. How's the DNC going to get away with it? What's really weird to me is the Republican Party got away with trying to do a contested convention against Trump somehow. They all made good, and whatever deal they struck with Trump in the end, or whatever private meetings took place, they let that go. But on the other hand, Paul Singer, top Republican mega donor neocon, who owns the Washington Free Beacon, paid for Fusion GPS's paid for Glenn Simpson's Fusion GPS Trump opposition research that later turned into the Steele dossier. So, I mean, it's really weird to think that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party both have openly tried to sabotage their leading candidates who are, either winning the primaries or about to win the primaries. And they both got away with it. I mean, the DNC got away with it last time. It embarrassed them so badly that they needed to claim that the Russians did it to them. So, yeah, I mean, what are you going to do? I just find it mind-blowing that the Republicans have this much unity now as a party that even includes figures, like such as Jack Posobiec and these like crazy alt-right people, where there's all this big tent unity, when the Republican Party only 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, tried to do a contested convention against Trump and strip him of his nomination. I mean, and actually, if you go back and watch that convention, it's really, really kind of eerie how little mainstream GOP participation there was in it. The attendance level was low. They barely could get anyone to speak at the RNC for Trump. It was actually like pretty bizarre. I mean, I think we tend to forget how little unity there was in the Republican Party during that primary season. And I think it's just really interesting to kind of try to clear the playing field and not let all these sort of narrative, these people who distort narratives and distort history, and just actually show it for what it actually was. That in that election, the DNC and the RNC were openly caught or openly admitted to trying to sabotage one of the candidates, one of the biggest candidates in either race. And what does that mean? I mean, what does that mean when Bernie, follows through on the pledge that, by the way, all these Democrats sign, saying that they will endorse the nominee? What does that mean when he follows through on that and endorses Hillary after he's been shown leaks, that came out through WikiLeaks openly proving that he was sabotaged? If he didn't already intuitively know it on some level that he was, now there's proof. I mean, I think that it really means that this is the most broken, I honestly, I've ever seen our so-called democracy in my lifetime. But at the same time, the Supreme Court did decide Bush as our president in 2000. I mean, that happened too. And then 9/11 conveniently happened within a year, giving neocons and all of his friends and business partners everything they ever dreamed of. So maybe to say it's the most broken now than it ever was is maybe wrong, but I mean, I don't know. It feels pretty goddamn broken right now. Tom Collector. Well, what was it that Jimmy Dore said on his Joe Rogan appearance a couple weeks ago? He said that Bernie has to overwin to get past beating the DNC. Like Lori said, first you have to beat the sub boss, and the sub boss is actually harder in this game than the real boss. Trump is easier to beat than the sub boss. The DNC is like, you just can't. It's like they cheat. They're crazy. They have crazy combo maneuvers that just like take away your whole health bar in like one hit, where you just, they juggle you. Tob Collector. I mean, that was my initial thought, is that Bernie might have actually overwon. That's what it looked like from all the videos of all these people going into these precincts and dancing and holding up signs. It was like there were so many videos coming out that showed how Biden had like no support and shit. It was like, oh damn, like what? So it looked like that Bernie was going to overwin, perhaps. Maybe that's a little too hopeful, but that's what it looked like. So yeah, for this to happen is pretty fucking convenient. Pretty convenient. Has anybody been watching the new Curb Your Enthusiasm? I thought the first 2 episodes of the new season were really good. There's a pretty good scene involving a MAGA hat, which shouldn't be a surprise to anybody who's watched Curb Your Enthusiasm before. Oh yeah, let's talk a little bit about Bloomberg. And I do have to admit, it's pretty funny that Trump already just laser focused on Bloomberg's height as the thing to attack him over, and just went on this crazy, really, frankly funny Trump rant on the Sean Hannity show about how Bloomberg is going to need a box to stand on during the debate, and it's not fair if he gets a box, because then everybody else should get a box to stand on. And this is like a 1-minute-long clip from the Sean Hannity interview. Watch it if you get a chance, if you haven't seen it. But just really quickly about Bloomberg. I mean, this guy actually appeared at the RNC convention in 2004 to say he supported the Iraq War and the Bush administration. Michael Bloomberg went out to the RNC convention in 2004 as a neocon shill and shilled for the Iraq War and W. And also, if you can get on board with the idea that Rudy Giuliani had some very strange ties to 9/11, and also some direct ties to the 9/11 cover-up, many, ties to covering up 9/11. He actually wasn't mayor for very long after 9/11. So Michael Bloomberg, probably was in on the loop on some of that cover-up too. I mean, he had to have been. So we have here a guy who was shilling for the PNAC neocons, who probably, close the circle and help continue some of the 9/11 cover-up, and who opened his own news outlet, who pays Eli Lake and Josh Rogan, 2 of the most influential neocons writing right now, over $250,000 a year to write neocon regime change propaganda in his outlet. So I just wanted to connect some of that together just to show you guys that Michael Bloomberg has actually closer ties to the neocons than you might think. So not only is he an oligarch and a billionaire, obviously, but he's not the kind of Democrat that he's trying to represent himself as now. I mean, if that wasn't obvious enough from his fascistic New York City policies, like stop and frisk and other things. But yeah, it's super weird. I mean, I'm sure some of you have noticed the Michael Bloomberg advertisements have been continually popping up on social media in ways that I've never seen, or maybe you guys have never seen before, of other political candidates. Not even Trump, nobody. I don't remember ever seeing this many ads. I'm not even talking about TV. I'm talking about like on Facebook, on Twitter. Where else am I seeing them? Just on Google. I mean, like you search for a lot of different keywords now on Google, and you'll get Michael Bloomberg ads. It's crazy how much money he's spending on advertising on the internet. I'm going to go up here and unhide some of your comments. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Just remember, anytime you swear in the chat, for some reason, I don't know how to set it differently. Even though I have my whole channel set for 18 and over, anytime you say fuck or any like cuss word in the chat, it'll automatically hide your comment until I have to unhide it. Like, for example, Peppo, your comment here where you didn't even actually spell the word fucking, where you actually took out the U and the C, it still hid the comment. It's bullshit. So I'm not trying to discourage you guys from swearing. I just don't know how to fix it right now on YouTube, and I don't even know. I mean, I would basically have to manually go in right now and unhide all those comments. So just keep that in mind. But I'm completely. I wish that you guys could swear and that wouldn't happen. So if anybody knows how to turn that feature off on YouTube to make it so that you can say whatever you want in this chat, without the comments getting hidden, please let me know. Because I want you guys to be able to say what you want and not have any of this stuff. Yeah, Bird Worldist. It hid the one you just tried to do too. The pedo rapist thing you just said about Limbaugh, even though you switched it with a 3 and a 1. See, the algorithms now, they have like a wider reach for what you can say as a trick swear word to get through their filters. Gumby for Christ. Yeah, Gumby for Christ is really great on Twitter. What are they saying? I'm going to look just so I'm in the loop. I don't want to be too out of the loop. Bird Worldist, that worked. So spacing it out works. That's strange. Oz Whistles. Sometimes I'm reading comments that are hidden that I forget to unhide to all of you. I can see every comment as they come into the chat, even if they have swear words, but I have to click it manually and click show for you guys to see it every time I get a comment like that on here. So I may be responding to someone's comment that's hidden to you guys. So it might seem like they're blocked to you, but they're blocked, but I have just not unhid the comment. So that's probably what's going on. That one got hidden. Yeah, it's so dumb. Yeah, I mean, do you guys ever do Twitch or Periscope? Do those platforms have a similar restriction on swearing in the chats? Ozwhistle says, no, it's just your site. I suspect that there is an AI that is artificially dividing certain profiles. I mean, I'm sure there is on some level, yeah. But what is just my site? So back to Limbaugh for a second. Do you think it's fair to call someone like Limbaugh, who was possibly in the top three most prolific promoters of the Iraq War, most listened to. Do you think it's fair to call someone in the top three of that a neocon? Or would you rather me stick to the more limited definition of, like, you know, someone who came from the school of thought of Irving Kristol, who, you know, maybe used to be left but then turned right? Because a lot of these people who were heavy participants in becoming part of the neoconservative propaganda apparatus were not neoconservative ideologues. So, and I've actually gotten in arguments with people over this. I mean, I think this is actually how I ended up being on Thaddeus Russell's show, is we had an argument and a disagreement about Bolton and people like Newt Gingrich being neocons, because he wants to stick to the more limited definition framework of it. Should we actually play this weird game? Have you seen this before, Tom? I-Robot? Doodle City, the Ungame. Okay. So this is actually... Oh, wow. This is pretty fucking cool. Wait, how do I spin? Okay, hold on. What the fuck? This is so weird. I forgot that you can actually just, like, do this on this game, but it's not letting me spin. Oh, wait. There it goes. Oh, cool. What? This is really weird that they let you do this from the main menu like this. Strange. How the hell do I get out of here now? Return to game. Lives too. Okay. I guess I'm just gonna play the play I-Robot then, right? It's not just that Jordan Peterson doesn't know psychology and clings and actually has a weird interpretation of Jung. Did a lot of other people who interpret him don't subscribe to, but that he also has, I think, a really distorted interpretation of Joseph Campbell. And it bugs me because I actually like a lot of the stuff that Joseph Campbell put out. So it bugs me personally that just knowing that someone like knowing someone like Jordan Peterson, you know, uses Joseph Campbell's stuff in his works. Wait, how do I jump? Can I jump? This is so weird. You can change the point of view of the game. I don't even know how to jump. Do not jump if I is red, it says. Well, Tom Collector is absolutely right. And that's one of the things that made me have a decent amount of respect for Thaddeus Russell. And I do have some pretty strong disagreements with him on other just other ideas, but when it comes to Jordan Peterson, I think he really exposes him in a really strong way because Thaddeus Russell is so knowledgeable on postmodernism. He was able to instantly see through Jordan Peterson's phoniness, where Jordan Peterson was trying to amplify this idea of cultural Marxism and the left and the social order and, you know, social values, family values, and mix that idea with the, you know, this false idea that postmodernism is what caused this, or what he, you know, what caused what he thinks is cultural Marxism. But then not just that he completely misinterprets what postmodernism is. How long have we been going? Oh, almost an hour. Damn. Well, I'm going to close out here with something that I can kind of just casually play. Uh-oh. Hot shocker. Uh-oh. I almost... Did I... Oh, no. Shh. Don't tell anybody what just happened. Oh my God. I just caught Michael Malice on a comedy podcast, and he's one of the most annoying motherfuckers ever. And he was just so unfunny, so cringe. He just appeared on the Dave Rubin show, and he's like part of Dave Rubin's network now, and he plugged it on this comedy podcast. And I screamed out loud because I was like, dude, do they not know who Dave Rubin is? He's such a piece of shit. Why wouldn't they make fun of him for that? Let's play one of the hardest ass games ever while I try to talk to you guys. Does that sound like a smart idea? Is this a smart idea? Karnov, Iowa Caucus night. Iowa Caucus, Karnov. Oh man, listen to that. Holy shit. Oh, this is not FM synthesis. What is this? Oh, it is. It's a mix of FM synthesis and something else. 28% Sanders first round. Turn down audio, please. Got it. Gotcha. Is this okay? So have you guys played this on the NES? It's actually a pretty faithful console translation. I'm not going to make a switch to Twitch, Peppo. I don't know if I was clear about that. I'm going to simulcast on multiple ones at the same time. I might end up liking Twitch, though, that I might want to like do the chat there, but still keep a chat going on YouTube, maybe. But I probably will end up only just doing one chat. I mean, that would probably make the most sense, right? Oh, that kills me? I thought that was health or something. Damn it. There's an app, Adam, for Twitch, but for the most part, it's a how do I get that shit? Oh wait. Okay, I remember how to play this out. So the ladder, you can access and climb up on that shit. This is a weird game. There's so many enemies running around? What the f... fuck? Why is this... Is this guy gonna kill me? Obviously, right? Jesus Christ. This is one of those weird games that kind of has a Rygar vibe to it for some reason for me. Where it has like a sort of a weird abstract enemy designs and stuff where I'm like... And aesthetics and the whole theme of it that I like. I really like what they're trying to go for. Like whatever fantasy world this is, it pleases me in the same way that Rygar does. Oh, fuck. There's all these weird power-ups in this game that are, like, do different things. So it's kind of like you have to, like... Shit. You have to almost be really strategic about your power-ups. And as a kid, I didn't understand a lot of how the power-ups work. So you get automatic, like, weapons power-ups like this. And you have to be, like, powered up to basically, like, play through the game. Like, if you're not... If you didn't have these at this point, you would probably die instantly. Oh, shit. The Nintendo game... Oh! The Nintendo game is probably about as hard as this. Maybe even a little bit harder. What? Fuck. Oh, at least there's a checkpoint. That's something. Why are they coming? Fuck! Oh, the hitbox there helped me. Oh my god, that was really close. Wait, coin toss again? What was the coin toss this time, Propagander? Tell me about it. All right, Tom, we'll talk about that off air. Because I totally just thought of it just now while I was doing this. Didn't even cross my mind before I started the stream tonight, so... Hopefully someone hasn't already done that idea. Although everybody's pretty much done everything at this point, so... Some crazy person has probably already put together some prototype. Shit! There have been about 8+ coin tosses. Lori just sent me an article about Trump, the leaked video recording of Trump singing the national anthem at the dinner that was like leaked by like Lev Parnas or whatever. Did you guys see that? Holy fuck, this is crazy. I gotta say, I really love this game. This game to me presents a very fair challenge. The controls are very nice. And I'm really, really digging the aesthetics of it. I have never played this much of the arcade version of Karnov. Way cooler than the Nintendo version. Fuck. Very similar, though, to the arcade... Or... Whoa. Oh, fuck. So I guess I just gotta knock this guy's fucking... Oh, that's good. He doesn't respawn over there? Okay. Holy shit. Okay, now I'm fast, motherfucker. Try to get me now. Son of a bitch. How do I get up there, though? Wait, what? You're kidding me. Wait. What the fuck do I do right here? Oh, I have to break that? Wait, what? This game is super weird. I think it's just in the only appearance that Thaddeus Russell did on the Joe Rogan program. Maybe he did 2, but they spend a great deal of time. He brings up Jordan Peterson in a similar way that Sam Harris brings up Abby, where like he deliberately brings him up just to be able to spend about a half an hour talking smack. So it's a pretty long segment. What the fuck? Oh shit. What the fuck? Do I have to go past that? Hey, Hansy. How's it going? Shit. Oh! I just need to... This game has an interesting mixture of like random number generator and patterns. So it seems like you're kind of predictable, but then it becomes suddenly damn, there's one right behind. I forgot the guy's right behind him. Oh, shit. I thought I was going to get away with that. Oh, yeah, you would have ran it up. This is why it's fun to have a Pandora's box. I'm determined to get past these motherfuckers. Did it once already. Let's do it again. Oh, I gotta run under that. Oh, now there's one right behind him again. I forgot. There's 3 of them. Oh my gosh. It's like the shoes don't just make you run faster. Oh my god. The shoes also make you shoot faster, so I need to turn on the shoes right away. Alright. Alright. And the duck is barely giving any coverage either. Oh! Bernie just dropped some numbers. What do you mean? God, he jumps so much slower. Oh, I can go past him. Okay. So that's it. That's it. That's the secret. What? Whoa. Oh, the way the enemies like come into the game and stuff, like the way they appear is really neat. I don't know. This game's got something really going for it. It's hard as hell though, that's for sure. Holy shit. Oh my god. Oh. All right. This concludes tonight's episode of MAME Politics, episode 22, Iowa Caucus special. We got cock-blocked tonight at the Iowa Caucus, unfortunately. So let's do this again tomorrow, everybody. Have a good night. And if you want access to all of the locked / hidden episodes of MAME Politics after they stream, you can get access to them by becoming a Patreon subscriber of mine at patreon.com/Robbie Martin. I think I'll actually, you know what? Let's do one more game of Crystal Castles. Let's do it. I'm not really going to talk, but I'm going to play a little bit of Crystal Castles for you guys before I sign off here, for real. Oh no, where is it? Where the heck did it go? There it is. Okay. So, do some Crystal Castles. Oh, I forgot it's not like Pac-Man. You can't get that and just run into the bad guys like that. This is not as fun to play without a trackball, but it's still pretty fun, I think. It's got a nice smoothness to it when you play it on a joystick. Oh, shit. Got too eager. Oh shit, he's inside there. Fuck, he's inside. Fuck, he's inside. Damn, the enemies are fast. Oh shit. Oh good, the dumbass is off his thing now. That skeleton bastard. Oh shit. Oh damn it. Yes. Ah. Oh shit. Oh wow, what's that guy? Was that bees? That's weird. I like that. I can do that. Oh shit, there's one more up there. Oh my god. Yes. Oh wait, no. There's more down there too. Crap. Oh, damn it. What happens then? Yes. Ah. Damn it. Destroyed. All right. Good night, everybody. Take care. Till next time, aka tomorrow.